You've never heard of me. You've heard of all the others, I bet. Some of you anyway. Any of you could. Just look them up. Their names are well documented. They're part of the official history. Not me. We had nothing. Not a one of us. We was all of us dirt poor, and that's how people treated us. Like dirt. We had nothing to lay claim to, but the others, even if they never got nothing else, they got the notoriety. They get to have their names in all the books. People remember them. Nobody remembers me. Blame the so-called experts for that. They failed to connect what happened with me with what happened to the others. The experts don't see it, that I was one of his. But I was. I was the first, in fact. Bet you didn't know that. It's true. Little old me. First official victim of Jack the Ripper. Maybe I ought to place blame on myself for not dying right there on the spot. If I'd have died right then and there, I might get counted among the chosen few. Or maybe I ought to place blame on Jack for not killing me proper like. You know, see, being his first, he hadn't got all that good at it yet. Needed to practice. No, he failed to kill me right off, and I failed to die on schedule, so the experts failed to include me in their list. His list. His women. They get to be famous in death, whereas you all never heard of me. Let me introduce myself then. My name is Annie Millwood, and like I said, I was his first, only he botched the job. I survived the attack. Lived on for about another month. You see, but it wasn't for lack of trying that he didn't finish me off. Poked more holes in me than a wheel of cheese has holes, he did. There was nothing about him that would make him stand out. Nothing about him that would make a woman give pause. I had been living on the East End for years, walking the streets of Whitechapel, alone, ever since my Nicky died. God rest his soul. That sweet man didn't mean to go off and leave me all alone. None of this would have happened if Nicky had been alive. He always took such good care of me. He was a soldier. Did you know that? A decorated soldier. As fine a man as ever buttoned up a uniform in Her Majesty's service. He served overseas, survived 4 years in the Empire abroad, only to come home and die from malaria. I used to visit his grave once a week. So you see, there was a time when there was more to me than what you see now. I was the wife of a soldier. Don't I sound all uppity? You'd think I was too good for old Jack's blade, too good for the streets. I knew the East End. I knew the men. After Nicky died, I had to get by the best way I could. Pride don't put food in your belly or a roof over your head. Yeah, I walked the streets. I sold the only thing I had left that anybody was willing to pay for. I had to eat. Women got killed on them streets every day. If you was lucky enough to stay alive, you soon enough got a feel for them. You learn to read a man. A man walks up and offers you a few cents to walk off someplace private with him. You read his face, you look in his eyes. You can see if he intends to just use you and be done with you, or if he means you harm. And I'm here to tell you, that man didn't look no different than any of the others. Dead-eyed. Same as all of them. There ain't but 3 kinds of men on the streets of Whitechapel. There's the proper ones, and you don't see that many of them on the East End. When you do see them, you see it in their eyes. They're too good to be there. Too good to be associating with the rabble like me. What you do see in their eyes, if you can ever manage to get one of them to look at you at all, is disgust. Every once in a while, maybe 1 out of 100, you see pity. But even the ones that look at you with a little pity, they don't stop to talk to you. In fact, they walk off the quickest to get away from you. And And then there's the bad ones, the ones that you want to avoid. They got rage in their eyes. They hate life. And they're looking for somebody to take it out on. And since it was a woman who brought them into this world, it sure ought to be a woman that pays for it, don't you think? Living in my part of town, you learn real quick to spot the bad ones, and you steer clear of them. Most of the men are dead-eyed. It's like their bodies are still alive, but what's inside of them is already dead and gone. Life here in the slums does that to us, I reckon. Women's got the same look. On them occasions when I would bother to look in the mirror and fix my face, I never would look at my own eyes, because I knew they would have that look too. Dead already. I mean, up, walking around, talking, heart beating. Dead on the inside. Being dead on the inside don't stop you from feeling though. I never looked like that. My eyes never looked like that, looking back at me in the mirror when my Nicky was alive. The Ripper, he didn't look no different than any of the others, not at first. Dead-eyed, same as all of them, asked me to walk off with him. I never would have gone if there had been anything about him that gave me warning. He looked normal, plain clothes, not fancy, not shabby neither, like a working man, only clean, honest, no dirt under his fingers, as plain and ordinary a face as you'd ever see. Not fat, not skinny, not tall, not short, just a man. Black moustache, dark eyes. But then he changed. 1 second, them eyes was all dead and soft-like, but then it's like they come into focus. They got all hard and cold. Is it the pupil? Is that the colour part of the eye, the pupil? No, that's the centre. The iris, that's the colour part of the eye. It's like the pupil just swelled out and the colour part of the iris just disappeared, swallowed up by all the black. Their eyes was all black, but God, they was on fire. And what I mean is, they stared at you so hard, you could feel it in your skin. Alive, not dead, but there wasn't nothing human about them neither. I've never seen eyes like that before. I've never seen a man like that. Or whatever devil it was that was wearing a man as its disguise. He smiled at me as he pulled the knife out of his coat. He had the prettiest white teeth. And he grabbed at me by the throat. I couldn't scream, and then he started stabbing me with the knife in and out. I felt it, but I didn't. Does that even make sense? I was so scared. It was like it wouldn't let the pain get to me. Not all the way. Oh, I fought. He can't say I didn't fight him. I fought harder than any woman ever did. And Nicky would be proud of me the way I fought. I kicked at him. Every time I kicked at him, he would stick the blade in my leg. He'd start stabbing me in the belly and then lower. And then once I started kicking, he kept stabbing me in the legs. But then my legs wouldn't hold me up no more. Down I went. He had to let go of my throat then, and Lord, did I commence to screaming. I reckon that's why he ran off. I think he thought my screams would attract attention. He took me to the hospital. Stitched up all the holes he'd poked in me. Lousy copper what came down to ask me questions. It's like he couldn't be bothered, you know? Like he didn't care if they caught that man or not. I tried to warn him. I told him about that man's eyes. I knew, you see, from having looked in those black eyes, that this fella, oh, and they wouldn't even call him Jack the Ripper for some time yet, but I knew that with me, he was only getting warmed up. There would be more. A lot more. I tried to warn that copper. He didn't listen. But I was right. Survived another month. They sent me home from the hospital. I went back to work. I met the Ripper on the 25th day of February, and at the end of March, standing on my feet at work. My heart gave out. Lord, to die in that place. The doctor said my death was, and I quote, unrelated to my previous injuries. That's what he said. Natural causes is what he said. Don't you believe that? Ain't nothing natural about having holes poked in you with a knife. I don't care what they said. I know I never did get my strength back after my dance with the Ripper. He killed me all right. Just took me longer to lie down than did the rest of them. So they get to be famous. That's the one thing old Jack gave his women in exchange for their lives. He made them famous. But he took my life too, and he didn't give me nothing in exchange for it. I was one of his. I was his first. I know. He knows. I guess now all of you know too. I hope I get to see my Nikki again.